Hi, this is Jim Musser with Upstream Ministries, and this is episode 42. And this is College Week on Views from Downstream, and we're talking about how to go about helping your college bound teen get ready spiritually to go to college. And we talked about what a tremendous opportunity, particularly secular universities, are for strong Christian young people to be missionaries, in essence, on the college campus. And I also mentioned that that the Christian college, while it can be a good option, is not a panacea for your child. They'll guarantee them growing in their faith. It may or it may not. And there are a lot of things that happen there that are very similar to what happened at secular universities. It's just that the Christian colleges do not talk about that. But if you would talk to people who have attended those schools, and if they're honest, they will share some of those things that they know about, as I've heard from them directly. And so we've been talking about that, and then Wednesday talking about how to start the process of getting connected with spiritual resources on either the campuses that your child is considering or the campus that your child has decided on and is going to. And I want to continue that by really emphasizing one thing, and that is ownership for your student in this. Here's a typical scenario during new student orientation. They come with mom and dad, or mom or dad, and they arrive and they're busy doing all the things that the university is requiring them to do on that day. And often the parents have a little bit more freedom, and so they're at the universities that I was involved at, we were able as Christian ministries to have tables to promote the Christian groups on campus. And we often met parents, and they were the ones getting all the information. And they'd have the plastic bags, and they would take the brochures and the business cards and put them in there. And they say, yeah, I'm going to let my child know about all these things. And so typically on the way home, the parent would give the students the bag and say, you need to look through all these things. And the reality is, when the student gets home, they're overwhelmed with all kinds of information. And probably the last thing they really want to do is look through all this stuff that mom and dad collected. And so they don't. And so all that information just goes to waste, in essence. And what I encourage parents to understand is this needs to be the student's desire to find spiritual resources and get connected. If it's just you looking out for them, then it's not likely to succeed. I often call this, and I mentioned this in my book, Is Your Faith Ready for College? That parents throw a Hail Mary during new student orientation. They're hoping, they haven't done anything to prepare their kids spiritually for college life. They haven't had them do any kind of research. They haven't done any research. So this one day or 2 days on campus, they're in essence throwing the Hail Mary, which is in football is a desperation pass that has a very low percentage of working out. And that's why I call it parents' attempts to do this as a Hail Mary, because it doesn't have much chance of really working. I know that the parents are sincere about it. They care about their kids and they want them to get involved, but you can't just do it at the last second. You've got to prepare them for that. And so that is one thing that I want to stress above all else, is that your child has to buy into this. And that's why I recommend in the book, I have one chapter pretty much for parents, and then I basically instruct the parents to give the book to their child, because the child has to take ownership of it if it's going to work. And often they will if they if they are given the opportunity and a lot of encouragement. I mean, parents do have a little leverage in terms of, hey, we're paying for your school, that kind of thing. You can encourage them to do it even if they don't want to do it, because sometimes kids don't want to do things. They end up doing it, and then they like it and they appreciate it. So that's not a bad thing. But that is so important. And again, in terms of these campus visits, calling ahead and having your student do that, and probably not necessarily emailing. I would recommend calling, having that personal connection of voices with the person on the other end who is a campus ministry leader or a church leader, and saying, hey, I want to find out what you're about on campus because I'm coming there, or I'm thinking about coming there in a couple months or in a year. And so I want to meet and just hear about what's going on there and how I might be involved if I choose to do so. And so that is just so important. I can't overemphasize that, the ownership of it. So again, I'll make a plug for my book, Is Your Faith Ready for College? Because I think that will lay out exactly, in a sense, what you need to do and what your student needs to do. So I encourage you to go on to Amazon, find that. You can find it by the title, Is Your Faith Ready for College? Or under my name, Jim Musser. And the cost is $12.99. And so I just encourage you to pick up a copy of that. And I'm really grateful to be able to talk about this because, like I said, it's a passion of mine. And I just really want to see the college campus transformed. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because if we raise kids to be mature spiritually when they walk on the campus, those kids are going to be used by God to change the university in ways we could hardly ever imagine. And we need to partner with God in preparing our kids in that way. And so these are things that I'm trying to do to help you as parents and help churches to do that. And so I'll leave it there, and we'll see you next week for another week of episodes from Views from Downstream. Have a great weekend.